InspirED Virtual Learning Series. Welcome to InspirED. The InspirED Virtual Learning Series brings you information and resources on a variety of topics to help support learning and successful outcomes for students and families. Whether you're an educator supporting students with disabilities, an administrator providing resources to educators, or a family member, InspirED is for you. The content of this webinar has been pre-recorded, but we want to encourage your participation. If you have any questions or comments, we invite you to be part of the discussion by using the chat feature. Questions will be answered throughout the webinar, and later, we'll be providing a link in the chat to a brief survey. By completing the survey, you'll be able to access a certificate verifying your attendance in this webinar. Connecting and exchanging ideas is key to inspiring success. InspirED was created by the Ohio Department of Education's Office for Exceptional Children and OCALI. Welcome, and thanks for joining us.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of InspirED. The title for today's session is Engaging Families in the Alternate Assessment. Today, I am joined by colleagues and friends from our Department of Education, the Office for Exceptional Children and Diverse Learners team, Matea Hammond and Megan Flowers. And I'm Shauna Benson from OCALI's Teaching Diverse Learners Center. So Megan's going to start us off with sharing a little bit about the objectives for today's session. Go ahead, Megan.
Thanks, Shauna. I'm going to start by introducing the participants to our objectives today, which are in question form. During this session, Engaging Families in the Alternate Assessment, participants will learn the answers to the following questions. What is an alternate assessment for students with the most significant cognitive disabilities? What is Ohio's alternate assessment participation decision-making tool? And where can I find general and family resources? I'll pass it back to you, Shauna, to get us started.
All right, great. Thank you, Megan. So I want to set the stage a little bit for our presentation today by reminding listeners that all of our students in Ohio participate in state and district-wide assessments. This does include all of our students with disabilities, and within that group, it does include our students with the most significant cognitive disabilities as well. In Ohio, we want to make sure that all kids count. We hope to see that all students are showing their learning and able to make progress in the general education curriculum, and that includes measures like our Ohio State tests and district-wide assessments. So I'm going to turn it over to Matea, and we'll just do a little bit of overview about what is an alternate assessment. Matea?
Hi, everyone. I will discuss what is an alternate assessment. An alternate assessment is an appropriately rigorous state assessment designed for students with the most significant cognitive disabilities to demonstrate their knowledge and skills. Ohio's alternate assessment is aligned with Ohio's Learning Standards Extended. The extended standards are specific statements of knowledge and skills linked to the expectations in the Ohio Learning Standards. Ohio's Learning Standards Extended are reduced in breadth, depth, and complexity. State and federal laws require that all students participate in state and district tests. These laws do apply to students with the most significant cognitive disabilities. Students will take either the general test or an alternate assessment. When all students participate in testing, it provides important information to the state, schools, and families about how students are learning. The decision about participating in Ohio's alternate assessment is an IEP team decision. There are federal and state guidelines for this important team decision of a student participating in the alternate assessment that we need to follow. Federal law reaffirms that the decision about participation in the alternate assessment is to be made by the IEP team. The team is to adhere to the state's participation guidelines and the state's definition of a student with the most significant cognitive disability. Ohio has developed its participation guidelines and the definition of a student with the most significant cognitive disability in a required document titled Ohio's Alternate Assessment Participation Decision-Making Tool. My colleague Megan will introduce this tool.
Thanks, Matea. In October of 2020, in order to guide and support individualized education program teams in determining whether a student is most appropriately assessed with an alternate assessment, the Ohio Department of Education, in consultation with parents, teachers, administrators, and other stakeholders, have developed this alternate assessment participation decision-making tool. The instructions for the use of this tool are that it is required by IEP teams to complete before a student participates in Ohio's alternate assessment for students with significant cognitive disabilities. The tool guides the team into determining if the child appropriately qualifies to take this assessment. Matea is going to tell us more about the specifics of this 4-part tool.
IEP teams must review multiple sources of information, including the student's individualized education program, also known as an IEP, evaluation team report, also known as an ETR, and other data such as results from formative assessments, evidence-based interventions, and assistive technology assessment, and the student's cumulative folder documenting supports and their services. Ohio's decision-making tool is divided into 4 parts, A through D. IEP teams and families must work through the document starting with Part A. Part A of the tool is determining eligibility. The team will answer, does the student have a current IEP? And the team will review the student's disability category as they are listed in the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, also known as IDEA. Part B of the tool is determining if the student has a most significant cognitive disability. Significant cognitive disability is not a disability category under the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. A student with a most significant cognitive disability in Ohio is a student who meets all the criteria in Part B of Ohio's Alternate Assessment Decision-Making Tool. This section analyzes significant deficits in all 3 adaptive behavior domains: conceptual, social, and practical. Next, Shauna will discuss Part C and D of the decision-making tool.
Thanks, Matea. In Part C of the tool, the IEP team determines if the student requires explicit, direct, individualized instruction in foundational skills and substantial supports to achieve engagement and demonstrate measurable gains in the grade and age-appropriate curriculum. The IEP team will analyze student data in an effort to answer these questions. The team may look at data such as the student's IEP, specifically looking at present levels of performance, and Section 7 with special supports and services, and Section 12, which outlines supports for state and district-wide assessments, for more details about the student-specific supports and present levels of learning and achievement. The team may also take a look at student work samples in the subject areas and the targeted specific learning areas of need based on the student's age and grade level, and possibly may look at learning progressions or skill progressions aligned with state standards as a part of that data review. The team may also take a look at district-wide assessment data or results from screening, benchmarking, and diagnostic assessments that the student may have participated in, particularly taking a deep look at the student's areas of need. The team may also want to take a look at the assistive technology domains or the areas of AT supports and evaluation results, as Matea indicated earlier. These assistive technology specific tools, supports, and services will be noted in the IEP, again in Section 7, and possibly in Section 12 as well. And in addition, if people need more information about the supports or layers of supports for taking state assessments, the team may want to reference Ohio's Accessibility Manual for State Testing. In Part D of the tool, it reminds the IEP team that decisions for participation should not be based on some very specific or isolated areas of consideration, which are noted throughout the document. In the next slide, we will discuss what evidence serves as insufficient evidence to be used for alternate assessment decision-making. And I'm going to pass this over back to Matea.
The decision to participate in the alternate assessment is not made and should not be solely made based on any of the following considerations. It should not be based on a student's disability category or label, a student's attendance or extended absences, native language, social, cultural, or economic differences, a student's expected poor performance on the general education assessment, academic and other services students receives, educational environment or a student's instructional setting, a student's percent of time receiving special education, a student's English learner status, a student's low reading level or achievement level, a student's anticipated disruptive behavior during administration of an assessment, a student's impact of student scores on accountability systems, an administrator's decision, anticipated emotional duress, or a student's need for accommodations to participate in the assessment process, things like assistive technology, augmentative, and alternative communication devices. Next, Megan will speak on alternate assessment eligibility.
Yes, thank you. So when teams are determining students' eligibility at the end of each of the 4 parts of the tool, the team should review if the student meets the criteria. Students are eligible to participate in the alternate assessment if they meet all of the criteria in sections A through D of the tool. If, after reviewing the information, a student does not meet the eligibility criteria in all of those 4 sections, A, B, C, and D, the student may not participate in Ohio's alternate assessment. All members of the IEP team must sign the decision-making tool. The signed decision-making tool will be attached to the student's IEP. Shauna, can you please give us some information on all of the different supports that are available for students who are most appropriately assessed with Ohio state tests?
Sure, Megan. For that, let's take a little bit of a look into Ohio's Accessibility Manual for State Testing. The manual itself is organized in a way that outlines a layer, I would call it a layer cake or a layered system of tools and supports that any student who takes state tests would be eligible to receive, minus the last layer, which is accommodations, and that would be only available for students with disabilities. So Ohio's Accessibility Manual is a document that provides information about accessibility features on Ohio's state tests for grades 3 through 8, and also in high school in English language arts, mathematics, science, and social studies. The manual itself helps to define the specific accessibility features available for all students in 3 of those layers. For students with disabilities or students who are English learners, and students those students may have access to an additional layer in the accommodations layer. Ohio's accessibility system offers many layers and many features to promote student success in accessing the state tests. All of these features are outlined in sections, including the administrative considerations, universal tools, designated supports, And lastly, for students with disabilities, a layer outlined for accommodations. And you can see on the screen that there are examples. So for example, in the administrative considerations layer, features such as environment changes, so different lighting, possibly different location, frequent breaks, seating and positioning options, time of day that the test is taken. Those would be examples of administrative consideration that any student could have access to as needed. In universal tools, considerations and features such as noise canceling headphones, the use of just a traditional or general calculator for computation and calculation, redirection back to the assessment, back to task could be a support. And in the universal tools, it also offers technology tools such as text-to-speech and sometimes writing tools as well, spell check and things of that nature. In the designated supports section, and again, all three of the layers that I'm going to mention here are available to any student who may need them. In designated supports, text and font size, text color differentiation, background color, etc., can be adjusted. Students can have access to fidgets or tangible materials, possibly even different seating, such as wiggle seats, those kinds of things. In designated supports, and possibly additional environmental music, background music, if a student would need that. Now, the last layer of support accommodations, this does apply specifically to learners who have designated accommodations within their IEP or other specialized learning plan. That would include features such as, and these are just examples, there are many others in addition, human reader, assistive technology tools that again would be noted in a student's IEP, supports for writing such as transcription or scribe, word prediction software is a possibility for use for certain students who may need that, and consideration for extended time, again, according to the student's specific needs for processing. So a lot of layers of support are available to all students who take state assessments, and then more specifically for students with disabilities, there are added layers of support. So now I'm going to turn it back over, to Matea, and she's going to share a little bit about some resources that families may want to take a look at. Matea?
Yes. So to find more general and family resources, please visit education.ohio.gov. In the search box in the top right corner of the website, please type in alternate assessment to visit the alternate assessment webpage, where you will find our newly developed one-page flyer for IEP teams and families. We have frequently asked questions regarding the alternate assessment available in Spanish and English. We also have the Ohio Alternate Assessment decision-making tool housed on this website. If you type in accessibility for Ohio State tests, you will be able to view Ohio's accessibility manual for state assessments that Shauna just so greatly went over. If you type in families of students with disabilities, this will help you view the department's newly published websites. This page offers resources for our family members as they navigate the educational process for students with disabilities. I will pass it over to Megan now.
Thanks, Matea. I just want to take the opportunity to provide another resource for teachers and other IEP team members to utilize. But even parents and families can review this resource for free and gain additional information about their child being included in grade level age-appropriate curriculum. This is a resource called Ensuring Access to the General Education Curriculum for All Learners, and it can be located at literacyaccessforall.org. You may use your OCALI Pass login information, or you can create a free OCALI Pass account to use all of these resources. This website includes 10 chapters of content, from building dispositions of students with complex disabilities, communication access, assessment, planning, designing skills and sequences, lesson design, and many other things. It can be used for all students, so both students who qualify for the alternate assessment and for students who are taking Ohio's state test with layers of support. It has a lot of deep, detailed information about how students with the most significant cognitive disabilities can access state standards. This can help to learn how to include students who are not eligible to take the alternate assessment but need scaffolds and supports to their daily instruction. So both of those groups can benefit from the information on this website. There are standards-based scope and sequences for grade level instruction. There's also a neat feature I like where you can learn to see if a prepackaged curriculum is aligned to the standards or how to supplement it if it does not include all of the content that it needs to contain. There is specific instruction on language and literacy, of course, which includes reading, writing, but also communication and all of those skills that are needed. And also it has information on supports, materials, and assistive technology that can help with full participation in any least restrictive environment. Every chapter has multiple pages. There's coaching videos, resources, articles, other websites. It really is this big, robust tool. Once again, you can access this tool for free at literacyaccessforall.org. We have come to the end of our presentation. We have answered the questions, what is an alternate assessment for students with the most significant cognitive disabilities? What is Ohio's alternate assessment participation decision-making tool? And where can I find general and family resources? Should you have any additional questions or concerns, please feel free to reach out to the alternate assessment participation email address, which is aaparticipation@education.ohio.gov. That's aaparticipation@education.ohio.gov, or you can email one of us directly.
My name is Matea Hammond, and I can be reached at matea.hammond@education.ohio.gov. That is MateaHammond@education.ohio.gov.
And you can reach me, Megan Flowers, at megan.flowers@education.ohio.gov. That's MEGAN.FLOWERS@education.ohio.gov.
And you can reach me, Shauna Benson, at Shauna_Benson@OCALI.org or SHAWNA_BENSON@OCALI.org. Thanks, everybody, for joining us today.
Thanks for participating in today's webinar. We've provided a link in the chat to a brief survey, and we'll also follow up by email with the same link and additional information about this series. This series is for you, and we welcome any feedback. By completing the survey, you'll be able to access a certificate verifying your attendance in this webinar. This recording and related resources will be available on demand through our website, ocali.org. There, you'll also find upcoming and past episodes of InspirED. And you can keep the conversation going on social media. Find us at OCALI Official on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and by using the hashtag InspirEdOhio. As we move forward together in virtual learning, our connections help to inspire success. InspirED Virtual Learning Series.